Hello, I'm Christopher Carter, and today I will be talking about my client assessment. Now we will be going over the static posture assessments along with the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints. The foot and the ankle, the knee, the lumbo-pelvic hip complex, the shoulders and thoracic spine, and the head and the cervix spine. As you can see, my client, his legs is very parallel to each other. No knee valgus or vargus. His pelvic, from the anterior view, you can't really see no pelvic tilt. His shoulders seem not to be rounded. But let's see about the other views. Now looking at the posterior view, you can see that my client, his left side of his hip is a little bit higher than his right side. This is something that we couldn't see in the anterior view. Now we're at the lateral view, where you can see that my client's shoulder is parallel to the other one. My client also has a little bit of anterior head carriage with a small anterior pelvic tilt. Here is one of the first movement assessments, the overhead squat. This exercise involves multiple joints and muscles to work together. Something that would be overactive would be the gastrocnemius and the soleus, the hip flexors, the latissimus dorsi, and the upper trap. Also, along with that, we will be looking for the underactive stuff, such as the glutes, transverse abdominis, lower trapezium, and posterior rotator cuff. As you can see here, my client has a great bending at the knees, no knee valgus. Now we'll be moving from the anterior view to the posterior view. As you can see, a different angle from the shoulders and the trunk, and also the bend of the knees. As you can see, my client also has a dip at the bottom. It's not major, a little minor. All right, now we go into the interior view of the single leg squat. This exercise goes along with strength, balance, and stability. As you can see, my client, as he squat, his knees goes inward and wants to come closer with the leg that he's squatting on to help him stabilize, and that is called knee valgus. He also have an inward tilt as he's bending. Some of the muscles that we'll be looking for that are overactive is the tensor fasciae, the quadricep, hip flexors, gastrocnemius, and the soleus. And the other active will also tie with glutes, hamstrings, abductors, abductors, and posterior tibialis. Now that we move to the posterior view of the left leg single squat assessment, you see that it's clearly how, as he squat, his knees goes in for support. Same thing when he does his right leg single squat. It tends to go in for knee valgus, and we want to see the pronation. Moving on to the lateral view. It's not that much bend at the leg. Once again, there it goes. My client is struggling to squat, so he brings his knees in. You also see here is the lateral view of the ankle dorsiflexion test, where we will be assessing the flexibility and the range of motion of the ankle. As you can see, my client wants to be 2 inches away from the wall, and he wants to be able to touch the wall with his knee without his head rising. And then, as you can see, he failed on the second attempt. And now we're looking at the right leg also. Some of the overactive muscles is the gastrocnemius, soleus, plantar flexors, and some of the underactives would be the anterior tibialis, extensor digitorum longus, and other dorsiflexors. Now we'll be going over the Davies test, which assesses the shoulder stability. And as you can see, my client, with every movement, you can see his shoulder blades popping out of his shirt, and that is called a scapular winging. Something that would be overactive in these muscles would be the upper trapezium, the levator scapula, the pectoral minor, and something that would be underactive would be the sartorius anterior, the lower trapezium, and the rotator cuff. Finally, we will be going over gait, a pattern of movement that occurs when we're walking. As you can see, my client here has a small toe off. That's what we will be looking for. Now we will be looking at the posterior view of gait, where you can see my client with his toe off. Also, the tempo of every step he takes is parallel. He also swings his arm with every step. Something that we would be looking here that would be overactive would be hip flexors, quadriceps, tibialis anterior, and something that would be under would be glutes. And this is the end of my video. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my client for, helping me with this video. He's very understanding. If you have any questions, please email me or leave a comment and a like.